There are more than 600 muscles in the human body. Muscles are needed for all types of movements. They're also needed to pump blood. They're needed to breathe. You can see the diaphragm muscle in here expanding and contracting. They're needed to produce body heat and regulate body temperature. And they're also needed to protect internal organs. There are three types of muscle. The first type I want to talk about is skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is voluntary, so you consciously can move these muscles. They're movement of your bones. They move muscles in your face and your eyes. So blinking, moving my arm, those are all skeletal muscles I'm using. Here is an image of skeletal muscle. You can see the nuclei in each of the cells. You also notice these striations or bands. These muscles move bones, like muscles in your face to smile, blink your eyes. They're voluntary, which means you can control them, and you have over 400 skeletal muscles in your body. They are long, and they have the striations, like I mentioned, and then they move by expanding and contracting. The next type is cardiac muscle. It is involuntary, meaning you can't consciously control it. It's the movement of your heart and certain vessels for your circulatory system. Cardiac muscle is muscle of the heart, as you can see pictured here. It is involuntary. You cannot control it, and it works 24 hours a day. Your heart is constantly pumping, whether you are trying to pump it or not. It's involuntary. It's the strongest type of muscle, and we're going to do a little lab to show you why, because it's always working. And it only has one nucleus per cell, and there is some striping or striations, but not as much as the skeletal muscle. The next type of muscle is also involuntary. It's a smooth muscle. It causes movement in your intestines, esophagus, and other internal organs. Like when we talked about your digestive system, how the esophagus squeezes the food down into your stomach, that's an involuntary movement of your smooth muscle tissue. The muscles of the esophagus, stomach, and intestines and other internal organs are made of smooth muscle tissue. They're involuntary and they contract slowly and smoothly. They can remain contracted for long periods of time, and there is usually one nucleus per cell with no striping. Here is an image of a muscle cell. You can see the different parts. Muscle cells or muscle tissue is connected to a tendon, which is then connected to your bone, and I'll show you more of that in just a moment. Muscles work by expansion and contraction, so you can see the process here. I'm going to show you a live GIF of this. Here are some live videos of this actually happening. You can see that expansion and contraction in the muscle tissue. As you can see, your muscle is attached to a tendon, which is attached to the bone on one end of your arm. The muscle is then attached to a tendon and a bone on the other end. And essentially, when your muscle contracts, like this live video, it pulls the bone in one direction. Muscle tissue works in pairs. We talked about this when we talked about your bicep and your tricep. Bicep is on top, tricep is on bottom. When one contracts, the other expands, and vice versa. These are some images of your muscular system, front view and back view. And now we're going to do a lab to demonstrate just how hard these muscles work.